You know, San Francisco is blessed with several world-class museums, and today we're in Golden Gate Park visiting one of those world-class museums, the De Young Museum. The De Young has several exciting collections: oceanic art, African art, art of the Americas, and as we stand here now, a very important and impressive paintings, American paintings and sculpture. But in the life of a museum, they also organize and mount special exhibitions. And joining me today to talk about one of those special exhibitions is the director, John Buchanan. Hi, John.
Hey, Louis. I'm happy to have you here amidst the great Rockefeller painting collection of the De Young Museum, and hopefully to talk about our current special exhibition, King Tut.
Absolutely. Because actually what we wanted to focus on with you today, John, is, as we mentioned, we know that the museum has great permanent collections, but you have organized a very, very important special exhibition of Tutankhamun. And I wondered, what is the impact of this special exhibition has been on your attendance?
Well, Louis, first of all, you know this is a really significant milestone for not only the museum but also San Francisco. The King Tut exhibition was here in 1979 in a smaller version. I like to say that he's back, he's older, he's bigger, and he's brought his family with him this time. There are over 120 objects and works of art in our current exhibition that comes to us from the Cairo Museum. The King Tut exhibition, Louis, like all of our special exhibitions, finds its strength and derives its origins from our own collections here at the museum. And you know that we're interested not only in American paintings but also in antiquities, including ancient Egypt. So it is part of the history of the museum, it's part of our collections, and it's a natural for us to want to share these treasures before they're never seen again with people here in San Francisco and people who come to San Francisco from throughout the United States and the world.
You know, one of the things we wanted to know, John, was how did you bring this exhibition here?
Well, just shortly after my arrival in early 2006, the Egyptian government contacted us and said, "Say, we're going to put King Tut back in America for a few select venues. We know that in 1979 the original exhibition occurred at the De Young Museum. Would you be interested?" And so we leapt at the chance to be able to do that, because the works of art unto themselves are incredible treasures and have resonance with our audience. And as I say, this has a piece of history of the museums itself.
And I know that the exhibition is going to be here all the way until March 28th of 2010. But what has been the sort of the impact in terms of audience for you here?
Well, we opened to the public on June the 27th, and we've had several 100,000 visitors purchase tickets to see the exhibition. We are exceeding our expectations, and at the end of the run of the exhibition, we will release final figures. Suffice it to say, we're very pleased with this, and we think that it particularly, Luis, has played well for the tourist season here in San Francisco. We certainly know by the many languages that are being spoken here in our galleries that people from throughout the world, particularly Europeans who have come to spend their Euros, people from Japan and people from China, people from South America, have come to San Francisco and made a visit to King Tut one of the items on their pilgrimage here in our city. We certainly hope that it has caused them to spend that extra night in a hotel room, go for that extra lunch or dinner at a nearby restaurant, and hopefully to spend some extra tourist dollars in the retail operations throughout the city.
An exhibition like this at the De Young really has very wide repercussions economically throughout the whole city. And so here you've illustrated exactly one of the ways that the museum is helping to sort of spread the wealth, so to speak.
I also think, Luis, that as we say, a rising tide lifts all ships, and I'd like to think that the tourist business here in San Francisco over the past 4 months, let's say, has helped all organizations, not to mention businesses. We have this wonderful synergy now with our new neighbor, the California Academy of Sciences, and it thrills me to no end when I see the cross current and the backfill between our audiences on a daily basis.
Let's talk a little bit about the extraordinary works that are in the exhibition. I know I've had the opportunity to visit the exhibition on 2 occasions now, and I'm really struck by, you know, especially the polychrome wooden, sculptures and objects that are in the exhibition?
It's phenomenal.
Yeah,
isn't it?
these are 4,500-year-old objects in many instances.
And it's hard for us, in modern times, to really wrap our minds around the beauty, the craftsmanship, the delicacy, not to mention the sensitivity and fragility of these objects that have survived for that long. I spoke earlier about 50 objects came to us in 1979. We now have over 120 objects. And I think that 5 of my favorite new objects include some of those polychrome objects. One is that wonderful wooden polychrome statuette of King Tut himself. I think it is the greatest object in the exhibition because it allows us to look over that many years into the eyes of a real human being. It's not the sort of iconic image, it's the natural, realistic image of a young teenage boy. Fabulous object. We also have the inclusion of 2 nested small fetal coffins, and in fact they're quite exquisite gold enameled objects that were found in King Tut's tomb. They contain fetal material that are leading the experts and scientists to believe that the contents of these coffins were the children or the offspring of King Tut. And just shortly the DNA results will be available to confirm that and perhaps to even attribute not only the fatherhood but the motherhood.
That's very exciting.
It's really very cool.
This is phenomenal.
Also, as I mentioned, King Tut brought some of his family members with him, and we have the incredible coffin of TURE, an in-law of King Tut's father Akhenaten, in all its golden splendor, and something really not to be missed.
And one of the things that I also wanted you to sort of let our viewers understand is how a special exhibition like this helps the museum, from Egypt.
Oh, well, it's what I call an international cultural exchange, and every person who comes to the exhibition must have a ticket, and part of that ticket price goes back to the Egyptians to help them in the restoration of their museums, and particularly in the building of a new museum at Giza.
So John, I just want to congratulate you for bringing this extraordinary collection to San Francisco, and I want to give you the last word to our viewers. So what would you say to them?
Come now, because this is an exhibition that you're going to want to see more than once. It's intriguing, 120 artifacts and works of art, really a walk through ancient Egyptian history through the eyes of one of the most famous individuals who've ever lived.
Joining me now is Joe D'Alessandro, the president of the San Francisco Convention and Visitors Bureau. And Joe, why is it that San Francisco always seems to rate, at the top as a tourist destination?
We're iconic. People from all over the world imagine coming to San Francisco. They've seen San Francisco on movies and on television shows and have always had strong, compelling desires to come here. So we're fortunate because of that. For relatively a small city where we are a world-class destination.
And I think it's also, part of that diversity has also allowed the city to sort of celebrate its cultural diversity, and so it has developed a very interesting cultural infrastructure, over time. Right now, the legacy of the young has led to the expansion of a really phenomenal museum, which currently has this Tutankhamun exhibition. And what do you think that museum and that exhibition impact is on the economy of San Francisco?
What you're finding is you'll find visitors, whether they're coming from, say, somewhere nearby like Sacramento, or coming from Los Angeles, or coming from Seattle or Portland, the nearby markets, will make a special trip to San Francisco because they hear that the de Young is having the Tut exhibit. And when they come here, they have to pay for transportation, they're paying for hotels, they're paying for restaurants, they're spending not only just a few hours in one day to see the exhibit, but they're going to stay several days to try to get the whole San Francisco experience as part of what they're doing. And that's what really contributes significantly to the economy. What's an interesting statistic nationally is that more people go to arts and cultural institutions and exhibits than they go to spectator sports.
So you have this blockbuster exhibition at the de Young. They're having record attendance there, which of course the admission prices help the museum. But what you're pointing out is in fact the fact that people are staying longer at the hotels means that the hotel's occupancy is higher.
Absolutely.
And the economy of San Francisco and the government of San Francisco benefits from that because of what's called a hotel tax.
Absolutely.
You want to explain what the hotel tax is?
Absolutely.
And what it does?
The visitors are paying our taxes for us. Without those visitors, we'd have to come up with $500 million more annually in taxes. So when a visitor stays in a hotel, they pay 14.5% hotel tax, which goes to the city general fund to pay for these activities. They pay a restaurant tax in many cases. They pay a sales tax, which helps to go into our economy, go into the government. They pay taxes on car rentals. There's a whole variety of taxes that a visitor to San Francisco pays that a resident doesn't even see sometimes.
You know, one of the things that the average citizen doesn't often really understand is how the hotel tax benefits them, you know, directly. But for instance, the San Francisco Arts Commission and Grants for the Arts, both of our grant funds are all funded and subsidized by the hotel tax.
That's exactly right. And the grants for the arts and those funds go to help a lot of the very significant institutions that we appreciate so much as San Franciscans. Some of the major institutions and some of the minor and kind of up-and-coming arts groups in San Francisco are helped by Grants for the Arts and the Arts Commission. Also, some of our street festivals and fairs that we enjoy so much are helped through that hotel tax. So that hotel tax really does play a major role in the quality of life that we treasure so much here in San Francisco.
Yeah, like for instance, you know, the cultural centers that the Arts Commission funds. You know, there's 7 different cultural centers. Some of them are physical, have physical buildings and spaces like Som Arts and Mission Cultural Center and Bayview Opera House. And like the other part of this, we're celebrating the African American Arts and Cultural Complex's renovation and ribbon cutting that took place a few weeks ago. And some of them are virtual. And so, you know, it's really, you know, people don't make the connection sometimes how a major exhibition at the Young, Tutankhamun, you know, will eventually, through its economic impact on the city, also benefit neighborhood cultural institutions.
That's exactly right. And frankly, without the room tax, the hotel tax going into these cultural institutions, many of them could not exist as they are today. They couldn't have some of the programming that they have today, or they certainly couldn't charge the prices that we enjoy today, because it would have to be more without that hotel tax. So those tourists that come in for a blockbuster and spend their money in the community and see other arts events and institutions really do help the arts scene in San Francisco quite a bit.
Well, Joe, I want to thank you for, you know, helping our listeners to understand how a great exhibition like Tutankhamun filters its way and impacts the daily lives of citizens that may not even visit the exhibition, but that, you know, are really concerned with putting, you know, sort of the daily bread on the table.
It's absolutely right, Luis. Thank you for letting me share that enthusiasm for what the arts and culture do to the quality of life in San Francisco.